My name is Vince Phelock. I am the advisor of the Advanced Titan at the University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh. I've been a college media advisor for more than 15 years, and I have been involved in pacemaker judging at least a half dozen times before.
My name is Mark Witherspoon. I'm the editorial advisor for the Iowa State Daily, which has either been a finalist or won pacemaker competition for about the last 15, 16 years.
My name is Bradley Wilson, and I'm an assistant professor at Midwestern State University and also the director of student media there. And I certainly have judged the pacemakers before. Today, a few years ago, I judged yearbook for 2 consecutive years.
My name is Susan Smith. I'm the student media advisor at South Dakota State University in Brookings. This is my 10th year advising. Prior to that, I worked in the journalism industry for 13 years.
The way the judging process worked this time with the new online system is actually pretty cool. So we got to see all the PDFs online, and we basically went through a culling process where the publications were assigned to us, and then we went through and decided whether they were in or out, basically in the first round, without too much discussion. And then in the second round, with a little bit more discussion, and then in the third round, we put them up on the screen and had a lot of discussion.
So the goal really was to look at the publications from the perspective of how well do they do at the things that we think matters, which include things like design, photography, graphics, storytelling, writing, reporting, but also things that go a little bit deeper than that.
So in the first round of coverage, it had to have a good first impression. If it didn't make a good first impression, and that's largely visual, then it got cut in the first round for me.
Once we got into that second level where it was heated discussions about what truly is a pacemaker-worthy publication, or what's a finalist-worthy publication.
I came in after everybody had been working for 2 days. I came in with some fresh eyes to look at that final round of judging. So I got to see the best of the best.
I really hate bad leads. As if you write a lead that's like on November 16th, the high school marching band placed 5th in this contest. I know that a lot of people do that when they're starting out, but I think if you want to be a pacemaker, finalist, or winner, you have to eliminate that kind of stuff from your publications as much as possible, because that is just going to get cut out, especially in the second round when it gets really down to the nitty-gritty and you have to pick your finalists and your winners.
What I can say is that the best publications looked at their audience as a dominating force. So you look at the idea of, why does this matter to my readership? And that's for everything.
Distinguishing between the winners and the finalists is always difficult.
A publication, in order to contend for a pacemaker, had to excel in one area, and I mean really excel in one area. So photography, reporting, writing, editing, coverage, design, whatever area it really excelled at, and then it had to be really good in the other areas.
What I use, and I think the judges, what we talked about, were making sure that you were doing storytelling. You were doing a variety of different storytelling. You had great visuals, you had great design, you had great reporting, and you had great writing.
And I think that what this year's pacemaker crop shows is it's not about being awesome at one thing and being lousy at everything else, or being able to outshine somebody by having one really talented staff member. The thing that I liked the most about this year's winners and this year's finalists was that they excelled at so many things. And so it wasn't just, oh, they have great design. Well, what are they writing about? Well, that doesn't matter. This year it was, you had to have great design, and you had to have really good photography, and you had to have stories that were worth telling.
I'm always impressed with how good high school journalists are. The best were just amazing storytellers in so many different ways.
We had publications that won that were extremely strong in design and photography, and maybe not quite as strong in reporting and writing, but we also had some publications that visually were not very appealing, but were extremely strong in the reporting, writing, and coverage.
There was one trend, for example, that I can recall, the Syrian refugees. There was a lot of coverage on that. And one publication might have covered it, and a second publication might have covered it. But if publication one covered it by saying, this is the national story, and then getting students to say, well, do you think this is a good idea or not, and just got kind of what I call random freshman reaction, that's not going to boat as well as, say, publication 2, which covered it but talked about specific reasons that this impacted their school. So for example, did they have students who had family members attached in that part of the world? Did they maybe have a study abroad in that part of the world or in some of the countries where they were taking in Syrian refugees? And are they looking at it from a perspective that shows this is unique to our school, this is unique to our readership, and this is why it impacts you as a reader from within that audience?
I would say they had very consistent, for the most part, clean designs. They took design risks that were successful. They used alternative story forms, and overall they had to have really strong writing.
The ones who won were the ones who did stories that nobody else did.
It's extremely elite and prestigious award, and I can say, knowing all of those publications, that the people that received, or the schools or the publications that received a Pacemaker, really are the best of the best and maybe pushing the edge of what everybody else should be doing.
If you serve your audience well in your storytelling, your content selection, your presentation, and your overall publication, you're doing your job very well. And that will make you a valuable publication, whether you win a Pacemaker or not. And it will definitely help you as you enter that contest. It'll help you to be able to be up among the upper tiers as we kind of, make our final decisions.
So to me, I think it's one of the highest honors that you can earn as a student journalist, and that's pretty impressive. So I don't think it's something to be taken for granted, or to think because you got one last year, you're automatically going to get one this year. You have to keep up that solid representation of your journalistic qualities each time you publish.
To me, a Pacemaker winner also had to show that it was on the cutting edge of something. Was it on the cutting edge of social media? Was it taking chances with its coverage or something? It just had to prove to me that it was on the cutting edge, because that to me is the definition of a Pacemaker. It's setting the pace.
Well, it's the Pacemakers, so it's like these are the Pulitzers of the high school world, journalism world.